Welcome back to BatFacts. She was a highlight of the animated series, crossed over into comics, was reinvented in the video games, and rocketed to mainstream appeal in 2016's Suicide Squad, portrayed by Margot Robbie, becoming one of the most popular female characters in all of comics. And somehow, all of this has something to do with Days of Our Lives, Courtney Love, Lorraine Bracco, and The Princess Bride.
Inconceivable!
This episode of BatFacts, I'm talking about Harley Quinn. In our first episode regarding Bane, I said,
"Perhaps no other villain in Batman's rogues gallery has made such an indelible mark in his mythology so quickly after their introduction."
And I was wrong. Though Bane's ascent into the top tier of Batman's rogues gallery is impressive, the real most popular character introduced in the 90s is undoubtedly Harley Quinn. Not to be confused with the four other characters called Harlequin running around the DCU at various times, including one claiming to be the Joker's daughter, Harley Quinn was of course introduced in, and created for, Batman the Animated Series by writer Paul Dini and artist Bruce Timm. She first appeared in the episode Joker's Favor in September 1993, when the plot called for Joker to have a group of accomplices. Dini hit upon the idea of having a female henchman of the group, along with the requisite hired goons. The inspiration for the character came from the actress who would go on to play her, actress Arlene Sorkin. Back in 1987, Sorkin was a regular on the American soap Days of Our Lives. After attending a screening of The Princess Bride, Arlene was inspired to suggest to the producers of Days of Our Lives that they have a medieval fantasy dream sequence on the show, and they agreed. Arlene played the comedy relief character Calliope Jones on the show, so for the dream sequence, her character was made a court jester.
I'm on at the roll, let's get it!
Sorkin was fond of the scene and would put it on her best of acting reel, a VHS tape of which she would give a copy to friend and fellow Emerson alum Paul Dini. Then one fateful day in 1991, while writing scripts for Batman the Animated Series, Dini was at home sick and popped in Arlene's tape. And I was like, well, there she is. She should run around with the Joker dressed like that. So all these ideas came together when I was writing the first episode, Dini remembers. Arlene would be hired to voice Harley Quinn, contributing her trademark Brooklyn dialect, in a performance she admits isn't too far from her own voice. Harleen was designed visually by Bruce Timm, based on the script and a sketch by Paul Dini. When that first episode she appeared in came back from overseas and we saw her animated, with the combo of the visual and Arlene Sorkin's performance, it was kind of magical, Timm said. It's a happy coincidence that it all worked out. Arlene's voice, my script, Bruce's drawing, and the direction of the episode. A lot of things came together, added Dini. Harley isn't given any backstory in Joker's Favor, and the episode ends with Harley lamenting,
"Oi, beauty school's starting to look pretty good about now."
Implying this may have just been a henchman phase for this iteration of Harley. Fond of the character, Dini immediately set about plotting Quinn's return to the show, where she would continue to appear for an additional 8 episodes scattered across the series, becoming a fan favorite. Throughout the series, we learn more about Joker's two-toned accomplice. She's Jewish. She wields a giant mallet. She's a lover of animals, being the owner of 2 spotted laughing hyenas named Bud and Lou, and is fond of nicknames. Joker is almost always Mr. J, or Puddin'. Batman is B-Man, or Bats, and Poison Ivy is known as Red, or Pretty Girl. In 1994, DC asked Dini and Timm to produce a special issue of their Batman Adventures comic, which was done in the animated series style. Dini pitched Timm a concept for Harley Quinn's origin story, that Harley had once been Joker's therapist, and the two set about making the Eisner and Harvey Award-winning Mad Love. Mad Love tells the tale of a young gymnast-turned-psychiatrist intern at Arkham Asylum, Harleen Quinzel, who is looking to write a tell-all book about treating high-profile inmates when she, as the title suggests, falls madly in love with the Joker. The success of the story lies within a relatable flaw taken to comic book extremes. Dini explains, "We've all done it. We've all selected the wrong partners, all gotten hurt, and hopefully all moved on wiser for the experience. But there are those who, even in the face of constant disappointment, continue to believe that the intensity of their desire will be rewarded in an eventual jackpot of affection. And if that's a slot machine you're playing, friend, you'd better leave the casino, 'cause that one don't pay out." Advice to someone in the throes of mad love is pretty meaningless, because any capacity they once had for rational thought had long since split for Aruba. Despite the setbacks and heartaches, the pursuer tunes out their inner voice of sanity and is more than willing to swallow their tears, paint on a smile, and once again resume the chase. Welcome to the world of Harley Quinn. Mad Love eventually looped back around and was adapted as an acclaimed episode of the animated series. With Harley a marquee character of the show, there was only one place for her to go. Harley was coming to the DCU proper. The comic that everyone goes out and gets slabbed is Batman Adventures number 12, which was released in 1993 and is technically the first time Harley Quinn appeared in a comic book. But Harley's introduction to the DC universe, becoming one of the most high-profile examples of what TV tropes calls canon immigrant, was 1999's Batman Harley Quinn special, released in conjunction with the No Man's Land event. Dini is back to write and updates Harley Quinn's origin only slightly from the one told 5 years prior. Here, Harleen is found out rather quickly, when she is caught helping Joker to escape. Arkham has her license revoked and commits her on the spot, and she's only freed when the cataclysmic Gotham earthquake hits, where she escapes, adopts the persona of Harley Quinn, and rejoins the Joker. This wouldn't be Harley's only crossover around this time. Joel Schumacher's proposed follow-up to 1997's Batman and Robin was set to be titled either Batman Unchained or Batman Triumphant, depending on who you ask, with the primary villains being the Scarecrow and Harley Quinn. Rumor has it that Courtney Love was considered for the role of Harley after her acting turn in 1996's The People vs. Larry Flint. The version of Harley in the script was written by screenwriter Mark Petrosevich, was supposed to be Jack Napier's daughter out for revenge. After Batman and Robin underperformed both commercially and critically, the sequel was shelved. 2002's short-lived Birds of Prey series saw actor Mia Sara portraying a character named Harleen Quinzel, who's a psychiatrist who used to be romantically involved with a never-seen Joker. This is essentially where the similarities between her and Harley Quinn as we know and love end. The show was canceled after 13 episodes. In the time between Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight and its sequel, The Dark Knight Rises, actress Kristen Bell was a popular fan cast for Harley Quinn. Bell reacted positively to the rumors, calling them, quote, awesome. But of course, Nolan went in another way with the hotly anticipated sequel, but not before some alluring fan art of what could have been made its way online. Much has been made of Harley's relationship to the Joker, as their relationship is the catalyst for her entire persona. Her infatuation with the Joker puts the flaw in flawed protagonist, and is one of the more unique relationships in comics. I think initially he was looking to play her and get what he could out of her, then realized he had opened Pandora's box and this woman in her madness could match him in just about anything he does. I think he finds that, in some ways, very sexy and attractive. But he's not really set up to love in the same way a regular person is, said Dini in 2017. Essentially, Harley doesn't care about anyone more than she cares for the Joker, but the Joker doesn't care for anyone more than he cares about defeating Batman. They're not tragically star-crossed lovers. They're not two people madly in love and united against the world. She's obsessively codependent and he's an abusive sociopath. If you finish those comics and wistfully sigh and hope one day you can find your own Harley and/or Mr. J, then you should probably go back and read them again, comic essayist Chris Sims warns. In the animated series, it was exciting how Harley could operate on the Joker's level, and fans reacted to this unique, daring woman. But as tumultuous and quirky as the relationship was, when moved to other media where depictions of the Joker are much darker, so in turn were Harley's. Sims also noted, when you move her to mainstream continuity in 1999, it immediately changes things, because she's in love with the Joker we have in the comics, not the one in the cartoon. Comics Joker has killed 1 million people. He's a sadistic, torturing murderer. You can't sympathize with her when that's the Joker she likes. Back in the comics, Harley spent the next decade popping up here and there in the DCU, often at the side of her beloved Mr. J, but increasingly as her own character separate from the Joker. She was briefly a member of the Secret Six and her own series beginning in 2001. The series had mixed reviews, with some critics noting the lack of consistency in tone and the character lacking the spark that made her a hit in the animated series. Harley would also be a main character of the Dini-helmed Gotham City Sirens in 2009, teaming her up with Catwoman as well as Harley's occasional love interest Poison Ivy. As Harley's independence was further explored, Poison Ivy took on the role of a more healthy, alternative supervillain companion for Harley, and the two entered into a long-term, non-monogamous relationship. Ivy became the character you wish Harley would care more about and less about the Joker. Harley Quinn was beginning to change, but the big changes had only just begun. Rocksteady Games' 2009 Arkham Asylum presented a unique aesthetic that generally favored classic looks for their characters, with a few modern twists, but with Harley Quinn, it was much more of a full redesign. Paul Dini was hired to write the script for the game and of course gave Harley a major role. I've been writing her in video games, which I think was a big boost to her popularity. The video games gave her this great second life. That's when the big changes in her appearance came about. When we put her in the naughty nurse outfit and the leather pants and the street look, it showed that she was more than just a cartoon jester, and people reacted that in a big way too, recalled Dini in a 2017 Entertainment Weekly interview. Our take on Harley Quinn is worlds apart from the red and black checkered bodysuit worn by the Harley of old, yet she's still easily recognizable as Harley. In Arkham Asylum, Harley only has just fallen in love with the Joker. Through the design of her outfit, you can see the remains of a nurse outfit, from her job at the asylum when she first met Joker. But there's already a twist of the jester in her design, said Andrew Grooms, lead character designer for Arkham Asylum.
How do you like my new uniform? Pretty hot, huh?
As with many of the voice actors from the animated series, Arlene Sorkin was brought back to voice Harley Quinn for the first game. Subsequent sequels and spin-offs were being voiced by prolific voice actress Tara Strong, who would voice the character for a record number of animated appearances, as well as a live-action show, Arrow. Dini penned Harley as a primary antagonist for both Arkham Asylum as well as Arkham City and its subsequent DLC epilogue story mission, Harley Quinn's Revenge. Harley became a playable character in the finale to the trilogy, 2015's Arkham Knight. She wields a baseball bat, and Batman's detective mode is replaced with mayhem mode when playing as Harley Quinn. Her story mission involves breaking Poison Ivy out of Bloodhaven Prison. And Harley's Arkhamverse character model made a brief cameo in Steven Spielberg's Ready Player One. "2011's New 52 was a multi-purposed reboot of the entire DC Comics line. Behind the scenes, it would serve as an initiative to test run various concepts that would later be used for films in development. Cyborg was added to a back-to-basics lineup of the Justice League, for example. Many characters had changes to their origins, and some disappeared entirely. Both Harley Quinn's origin and appearance were significantly altered for the New 52. In the New 52, Harley is separated from the Joker and becomes a member of Task Force X, aka the Suicide Squad, a group of villains harnessed by the government for dangerous missions. She was still a psychologist swayed by the Joker, but here she falls victim to being pushed into a chemical vat by the Joker similar to his own presumed origin. This bleaches her skin white and colors her hair red and black, and signals Harley's rebirth into Harley Quinn. This new take on her origin rubbed some readers the wrong way as it muddies the waters of Quinn's own agency in regards to her identity. The Harley that fans had known up until that point didn't need to fall victim to a supernatural occurrence to be crazy. She was already her own kind of crazy, a crazy that was relatable at its core and captivating in its extremism and unpredictability. Harley's visual redesign also veered further into the direction that was taken in the Arkham series, namely corsets and stockings and a lot more skin showing. Perhaps the chemical bath was meant only to explain the aesthetic changes such as the hair and the permanently white skin, as before this she was seen without costumes such as her first appearance in Joker's Favor. Perhaps this was done in order to make the character's behavior more excusable as she was becoming a more popular character to young girls. A strong, independent survivor of the Joker is much more healthy narrative to hang on a character than a hopelessly devoted victim. Whether it was an effort to simply move the character's narrative forward, or an attempt to remove problematic elements from who was becoming a marquee character for DC, is up for debate, but the changes brought about by the New 52 weren't going away. In 2013, DC handed the reins of a new Harley Quinn solo comic to renowned husband and wife team Amanda Conner and Jimmy Palmiotti, who smoothed some of the New 52's rough edges by having Harley separate entirely from the Joker and forged a new life with a colorful cast of characters in Coney Island, making her much more of a madcap anti-hero. This Harley took a bit more lighthearted approach, and Harley began to break the fourth wall, like Deadpool, Lobo, and Ambush Bug before her. Harley's popularity continued to grow in leaps and bounds, with DC publisher Jim Lee referring to Harley as the fourth pillar in DC's trinity of Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman sort of represents perfection, whereas Harley represents everybody else, said Conner of Harley's Appeal. Bonus fact: she's also the namesake of not one, but two Six Flags theme park attractions, Georgia's Harley Quinn's Spinsanity and New Jersey's Harley Quinn's Crazy Train. In development since as far back as 2009, the Suicide Squad film didn't really start to take shape until 2014 with the announcement of David Ayer writing and directing. The script was based heavily on the New 52 rendition of the Suicide Squad, hence Harley was front and center, introducing the character to a wider audience than ever before. Cast as Harley Quinn was Australian superstar actress Margot Robbie. Suicide Squad's costume designer Kate Hawley took previous and current iterations of Harley and fused them with inspiration from, quote, Mexican drug cartel Instagram accounts, and rock stars like Debbie Harry and Courtney Love to create Harley's newest look. Preview images of Harley turned heads and led to Harley Quinn being 2015's #1 Halloween costume in advance of the film's release. Robbie, who speaks with an Australian accent, worked to dial in Harley's distinct Brooklyn dialect. She told USA Today in 2016, "My spectrum goes from Lorraine Bracco to animated Harley, and it's just a roller coaster between those two throughout the film," praising Bracco's performance as New Yorker Karen Hill in Goodfellas, as well as Arlene Sorkin's original performance. Suicide Squad's promotion and subsequent hype train in many ways eclipsed even the film itself. Looking to lighten things up after Zack Snyder's dour broodfest Batman v Superman, and match the frenetic energy of its own popular trailer, Warner Bros. Continually revised, reshot, and re-edited up until the film's release. Robbie's Harley Quinn along with Will Smith's Deadshot were definitely standouts of the film, and the film has its loyalists, but underperformed commercially and was critically panned. Story-wise, the film, albeit briefly, improved upon the New 52 origin by having Harleen be a willing participant in her transformation and jumping into the chemical vat herself. I say briefly because then Jared Leto's Joker jumps in after her to make out in toxic waste and the whole thing gets really silly. In 2016, DC Rebirth happened and Harley Quinn's look was again changed, this time to more closely resemble Margot Robbie because synergy! And she's the star of several titles existing largely outside of the Batman continuity. As of this recording, filming just wrapped on Birds of Prey and the fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn, which sees Margot Robbie returning to the character. As the title suggests, Harley seems to be moving away from her beginnings with the Joker into a more anti-hero entity. It's rumored that Birds of Prey, if successful, will be the first in a Harley Quinn-led trilogy, with Gotham City Sirens to come next. Harley was also spotlighted in friend of the show Tom King's Heroes in Crisis, being one of the primary suspects along with Booster Gold of a brutal massacre taking place at a mental health facility. The series delves into heroes and mental health, and while Harley maintains her innocence, we do learn some shocking revelations early on, such as her paradoxical dislike for pudding. Ultimately, Harley Quinn is now a character defined by change. Sean Gordon Murphy played with this concept beautifully in 2017's Batman White Knight, having there actually be two Harley Quinns that traded places at one point, and the Joker was just too fixated on Batman to even notice. So, you may have a soft spot for the jester-suited, Joker-obsessed Harley of old, or maybe you prefer the current dip-dyed, tattooed Harley, who moved past the Joker with varying levels of success. Whether she's a quirky sidekick or a heavily flawed protagonist, just like Batman, there are a lot of options. Which is your Harley? Is Harley a better or worse character post-Joker? Discuss it in the comments below. As always, if you like what you see, please hit the like button, tell your friends who like Batman, and subscribe if you want to see more. There are plenty of free ways to support the channel if you so choose, including upvoting on Reddit or following me on Instagram at BatFacts videos for updates. Look out for our next episode where I'll be talking about Batman and Lego Batman. Some Bat time, same Bat channel. Thanks for watching.